and gentlemen, it's going to be a busy night. It's going to be an overloading night. It is Friday, and this review is a week and a half late. I tried to start getting caught up earlier this week, but then, of course, life has just hit me. I've just been so busy. I've closed on a house this week. Again, I was away on a business trip last week, so it's just been nuts. So, I did post on my channel last night and on Twitter that my biggest goal for my return was to do a live stream talking about the big, bizarre, behind the scenes stuff, whatever you want to call it, that's going on with WWE right now. And unfortunately, I want to do that one live, but I just cannot find myself to get in the right mindset to get the right preparation for that stream. Because I know that is one that you guys want to talk about live. I just can't pull on it right now. It's just, again, I'm just so busy. Again, I'm trying to figure out when I'm moving, because I did close on a house this past week. And of course, I got my wedding coming up later this year. So, my biggest priority tonight is to make sure I get these wrestling streams caught up with. Well, not streams, but wrestling reviews. Again, I'm skipping SmackDown tonight. I'm going to DVR. I'm DVRing it. I'm watching it tomorrow. So, hopefully, tonight, I can get caught up. And of course, this is the earliest review that I have to do. Because I did my Raw review already earlier this week from January 9th. So now we got to do last week's episode of Dynamite. So of course, let's eat a Krabby Patty and get rolling. Energize. Squidward! Just kidding. But what is going on, guys? This is the Club with the Man 1993. And I'm still chewing. I'm sorry. Hang on one second. Okay. It's chewed. It's swallowed. I'm good. That was not a good idea. I wanted to do it, but I guess I'll say this instead now. This video has been sponsored by Krabby Patties. I don't know what else to say. Okay, anyways, I'm being completely dumb, so let me just roll into this. So let's do this, guys. What is going on? This is the Club of the Man, 1993, getting ready to start a crazy evening. Trying to get caught up here with my wrestling reviews. But we are here to talk about AEW Dynamite from last week, January 11th, 2023. And it took place in Los Angeles, California. This was a big-time hyped show. We were going to be getting the 7th match of the Best of 7 series. And the Trios Tag titles, of course, were on the line. As the winner of this series became the Trios Tag Team Champions. Would Death Triangle retain? Or would the Elite be the Elite? Or carry on my wayward sons? Will they become two-time AEW Trios Tag Team Champions? We'll have to, of course, wait and see and find out. And, of course, the biggest thing people were looking forward to this show. Would Mercedes Moné, formerly known as Sasha Banks, be showing up on this show? As, of course, although Saraya did announce who her tag team partner was going to be the previous week on Dynamite. And keep in mind, yes, I am watching this after this past week's episode of Dynamite. Save my thoughts for all that shockingness in the next Dynamite review. But people, even though she had announced that Toni Storm was going to be your tag partner, based off the seeds they were planting, Britt Baker saying she's the boss, and Hikaru Shida taking offense to Saraya picking Toni Storm over her, the seed seemed planted for somebody to, let's say, get taken out with a kendo stick, and maybe, just maybe Mercedes just happens to be there. Did that all happen? We'll have to wait and find out. But overall, this was still a great show. Again, AEW is definitely, well, first off, taking advantage of the fact that people are concerned about WWE with Vince McMahon back. But, you know, I feel like ever since Tony Khan came out and mentioned how the last few months of 2022 was tough for him with his mom's health, obviously, what happened with CM Punk and the Elite did, of course, affect him. He's come out and mentioned all that stuff. I don't know. Ever since then, it feels like he's starting to get back on track. He's slowing down also on the Ring of Honor stuff as well. Not, bloating his show with, other promotions stars. I really like what they're doing right now. I'm really liking how they're building to, Bryan Danielson and MJF for Revolution. The women's stuff is awesome. Well, we'll talk about the fallout from this match in a second. There's still a lot of exciting things happening. And, of course, we got a few going on here with Hangman Adam Page and Jon Moxley, which is how we actually started off the show. And we got a surprise return. And I am so glad to see this guy back and to hear that everything is well. And with his woman as well, because I was getting concerned. But we'll talk about that. But let's roll and talk about the LA show for AEW Dynamite. And, of course, by the way, I calculated it. Because last week I was away on a business trip in Vegas. I was only 4 hours away from the show. It felt so cool to say that. I was only 4 hours away from Los Angeles. It would be neat something to check out LA. I've never been... Again, I've been to... The only places out on the Pacific West of the United States I've been to is Vegas and Seattle. I've never been to California. But I'd love to see it. Maybe I can go to San Francisco sometime and see my good friend Robbie One Kenobi, as he may want to take me out for some crispy, tangy, honey barbecue and plum garlic flavor. I'm talking about Buffalo Wild Wings right there. But let's roll in. Let's talk about this Dynamite. I've done a big, long introduction, but let's roll in and talk about this show that took place again in LA. So we opened up with the match between Hangman Adam Page and Jon Moxley. The last time, of course, these two wrestled, which was actually the last time Hangman wrestled in general, was that title match they had. I believe it was in Cincinnati, where Moxley gave Hangman a concussion. Came back, and of course, they've both been at each other's throats ever since. And Hangman just got cleared to wrestle. And they had an outstanding hot opener with a bunch of great spots in there. These two again work very well together. Of course, Moxley did bleed throughout the match as well. Some great sleeper holds, some great kickouts. Of course, the interesting part, of course, though, was the ending when Hangman hit a buckshot lariat, and then after the match, though, Moxley seemed to have been knocked out himself. And then after Hangman gets out of the ring, Mox gets up and he's told to the ref that he thinks that the match is still happening. He doesn't realize the match is over, and the medics, of course, are checking on him. So, is this storyline here where they're basically kind of saying, Hangman gave Mox, somewhat of payback? Of course, we do hear from Hangman this next coming week, where he does talk to Renee Paquette, Jon Moxley's wife, but interesting twists of events there. I'm pretty sure they did this, though, kind of just to have an excuse for a third match between the two of them at Revolution. And let me tell you something. If they're doing, these things where it's that they're almost knocked. Well, the first one was accident. This one obviously was Hangman kayfabe-wise sending a message. I've been waiting to see this for years. What if they try to do a knockout match? well, I don't know if they do a knockout match, but it could maybe lead to like a lights out match. Although, because here's the thing though, because that concerns me though again, because again, Revolution's card, if things pan out, and we do get MJF and Bryan Danielson in a 1 hour Iron Man match, how are we supposed to be able to do a lights out match following that? You following me? So I'm not too sure. No, if that what stipulation to do, but I'm pretty sure that third match will have a stipulation. We could try the exploding barbed wire death match again, and have, of course, the proper explosion. But see, even that would have to be the main event too. I don't think anything should main event the show on top of Bryan Danielson and MJF. But we will see. I am intrigued to see where of course this goes. But then after we get the commercial break, we have Tony Schiavone in the ring saying he takes no pleasure in welcoming his next guest. And there's pause. And all of a sudden, you hear, you know it's all about that boom. That's right. Adam Cole, baby, is back. After a good, 8 or 9 months he was out with injuries, he's back. Adam Cole gets back, gets a big loud pop. And based off this promo, it looks like he's a babyface. Because he gets on the mic, and of course he mentions, who's ready for story time with Adam Cole, baby? And he's been thinking all day about what he was going to say when he came out. But the best way to describe the conversation we're about to have is that there's good news and bad news. The good news is he has a whole new appreciation for not just pro wrestling, but for his life. This is what always ever wanted to do since he was 9. And he's gone to do some awesome stuff, such as be in the best company AEW, in all places, LA. It also made me realize how much he missed getting to be here. The past few months, he was really banged up, had a shoulder torn to shreds, back-to-back really serious head injuries, concussions I know of, and he got scared. He was getting MRIs, had headaches, had dizzy spells, and if he was in the car for 15 minutes, he would throw up. Sleep was the worst part. Laying with emotions and anxiety, he had to get up to at 4 in the morning, start pacing and walking around, and it scared Britt, referring to his real-life girlfriend, Britt Baker, because he didn't know what was happening to him. And the thing is, none of us knew what was happening either, but so many of us were here for him. Which first, before I go on, hearing that did also relieve me a lot, because I gotta be 100% honest, I thought Adam Cole and Britt Baker broke up. Because I had not seen Britt post about Adam for the longest time. And I saw her post this one thing with a guy. It might have been just her with a celebrity, her with a friend or something like that. But for some reason, when I saw that, I'm like, she hasn't posted anything with Adam Cole for the longest time. So I was concerned, but now I can more so look at it as, okay, Cole was probably injured. He didn't want to, people to, see him and whatnot, probably. So I do apologize for my curiosity, but I understand why Cole was not being revealed on social media for a while. But him and Britt Baker are, in fact, yes, still together. I was concerned for a while. But Adam Cole said he was getting tweets from I miss Adam Cole and I hope he's recovering all right. And I don't care if Adam Cole never wrestles again. I just want him to be okay, and that meant a lot to him. And at the end of the day, pro wrestling is a give and take situation. They give us everything they have, and we show them appreciation. He gave us nothing for 6 months, and we were still there for him, and he is eternally grateful for that. But that was the good news. Now it's time for the bad news. That bad news, though, it's not for him. And he got all dead serious, and the crowd just popped. And he said the bad news is for the AEW locker room because Adam Cole is back. He's not going anywhere. He thought for sure he was finished, but instead he's standing here saying, no way, I ain't done yet. He's one of the best stand wrestlers on the planet for 15 years, and he won't stop until he's the very best. He's accomplished lots of amazing things in AEW, but for real, Adam Cole hasn't scratched the surface of what he's capable of. He wants everybody in the building and at home to remember this day. The day the new Adam Cole is born. An Adam Cole who will make a promise. No matter how long it takes, one man will be at the top of the mountain in AEW, and his name is Adam Cole, baby. Excellent promo. Excellent babyface, return for Adam Cole for sure. Now, of course, it makes me wonder some things. Because obviously, right before he was off TV again, they had him and Red Dragon turn on the Elite. Well, that was just the Young Bucks. Kenny Omega was not yet back. I'm pretty sure if Kyle O'Reilly was not out injured, because I don't know how much longer O'Reilly's going to be out for. I thought he had a neck injury, So I don't know how much longer he's going to be out for. And then we had Bobby Fish, who thought his ego was too big for AEW. He thought he'd go back to WWE and get the rest of the Undisputed Era and go back with that Triple H go, but instead, now he's in Impact Wrestling. So I don't think he's coming back. He could, you never know, but so I don't think we're going to be getting anytime soon the Undisputed Elite versus, the Undisputed Era, Adam Cole and Red Dragon versus the Elite for the Trios tag titles, as I'm pretty sure that was the original plan when they debuted the Trios tag titles. But I'm pretty sure this will not only lead to Adam Cole versus Kenny Omega at some point. I'm going to make a bold prediction here right now, because I can see it right now. With this promo, the story he has, the machine behind him, again, one day, someday, he will be at the top of the mountain. I think, after a long title reign, which could, of course, go into the bidding war of 2024, I'm now starting to wonder if maybe Adam Cole will be the one to dethrone MJF eventually. Bold prediction there. I think someday, may not be for another year, I think Adam Cole could be the one to dethrone MJF. Will he be, though? We'll have to see. But an awesome return promo. Again, I'm glad to see Adam Cole's okay. I'm glad to see he's healthy. I'm glad he's still being given the chance to do what he wants to do in his career. I'm glad him and Britt are great together. It was good to see him back. A very, very nice surprise. Because, it's all about that boom, baby. We have the Acclaimed backstage. They're said they're going to be some of the biggest names in the showbiz on Rampage, because the Hollywood Walk of Fame Board of Directors have unanimously voted to give them stars on the Walk of Fame and immortalize their scissors in concrete forever, apparently, which is awesome. We got Jungle Boy and Hook taking on the Firm's Lee Moriarty and Big Bill. Match was good. Of course, the best part of the match, by far for sure, was when Hook hit that exploding suplex on Big Bill. And Jungle Boy and Hook, Jungle Hook win by submission with Jungle putting the snare trap on Lee Moriarty. And that was that. Backstage, we got Orange Cassidy and Danhausen being interviewed by Renee Paquette with Paul Walterhauser. He's got a mystery box, but won't open it until Rampage. Danhausen calls him Walterhausen and Paul thinks they might be related. Paul checks in to make sure everything's cool with best friends. They roll up and say everything is cool and put hands in. Don't know what that was, but okay. Then Renee was interviewing the Elite after the commercial. She's out of the Elite's locker room talking up tonight's final match with the Best of 7 series. And then Konosuke Takashita, sorry, get his name thing. Konosuke Takashita comes out as he's getting ready to take on Bryan Danielson. And this is the first match in this thing where Bryan Danielson has to win one match every week until February the 8th to earn his spot as #1 contender and face MJF at Revolution. And again, he got to pick the stipulation, so he picked an Iron Man match. Anyways, though, after Takashita comes out, MJF comes out with Triple B himself, his world title. He says he's heard great things, but's never seen Takashita work even once. And of course, he makes fun of his name, pronouncing it as Take a Shitta. Tells him, don't shit your pants. Takashita answers in Japanese. MJF berates him to speak American, and Takashita tells him to kiss his ass, which in Japanese. He basically didn't reveal that until in a promo. He did say, yeah, basically, well, first off, it's like, do you speak English? Oh, yes, I say kiss my ass, basically, it was that. And a shoving match breaks down until Aubrey Edwards gets to the ring and gets him out of the ring and tells him to get out or else he'll be fined. He also said he's heard a rumor that he's afraid of Bryan Danielson. And he can't last, and apparently they think he's afraid he won't last an hour in an Iron Man match. But everyone needs to ask their moms and their sister or their girlfriend just how long MJF can last. Unlike Danielson, he's all pinning shoulders on mats and banging rats. He points out that Ken Jeong is in the house and mocks him for his show being off air. And then he sees Freddie Prinze Jr., and then he also basically makes fun of him and calls him a Scooby-Dooby douchebag, referring to whenever Freddie Prinze Jr. was Fred in the more CGI affected Scooby-Doo movies. And of course he says, MJF mentions how all our heroes suck, and Brian's gonna let us all down, and it's all because he's Maxwell Jacob Freeman, and he's better than you, and you know it. And then Bryan came out and had a match with Takashita, and it was an awesome match. Again, you could tell, matches like this is what Bryan Danielson is Bryan Danielson's bread and butter. A great, technician match. Takashita, again, I keep hearing great things about him. I do see a lot of potential for him at someday down the line. Someday, he's going to be headlining pay-per-views for sure in AEW. But Bryan, though, does get the win after a long and very well done match. He wins by referee stoppage with the Regal stretch. But afterwards, though, he does show a sign of respect and shakes Takashita's hand. But of course, we move on to the next challenger in next week's episode, which was Bandito. And that was a great match for sure. But of course, we'll talk about that briefly in the next Dynamite review we got to catch up on. Backstage, then we see Juice Robinson. He basically calls out Darby Allin for a match on Rampage for the TNT title. Okay. Then, of course, is the next match. The match that everybody was probably looking forward to the most on this show because of who they thought was going to show up. But Mercedes Moné, unfortunately, did not show up. There was an actual match with Saraya and Toni Storm taking on Dr. Britt Baker, the Boss, DMD, and the AEW Women's World Champion, Jamie Hayter, who I still cannot find a good PNG image to update on this graphic. Even though, again, when I make the new intro, I'm still planning on maybe, just maybe doing new graphics for streams. Which, I'm not sure how drastic it'll change, but we will see, of course. But there was no Mercedes. The crowd definitely was not happy about this. And I understand for sure, especially Especially with, what was I going to say again? Especially with the fact that they hyped this match up for like a month. Just for it basically just to be like a long-term thing when it really had no point in being long-term. Like the only thing that came out of this was the teasing heel turn of Hikaru Shida. But, you know, outside of that disappointment and the crowd kind of turning on it, the match was still great wrestling. You know, all four women looked excellent as they always do. Of course, towards the end of the match, Hikaru Shida did in fact come out with a kendo stick. And then towards the end of the match, she threw in the kendo stick, looking like that she threw it in there to help out Saraya and Tony. Instead, though, Britt Baker grabbed the kendo stick, used it, and then when the referee wasn't looking, and Jamie took advantage of that and pinned Tony Storm. And of course, Shida looked shocked afterwards, like, oh my gosh, my plan backfired. But the question is, though, did Shida do that to get back at Saraya and Tony? And is she secretly working for Team DMD? Or was she trying to help Saraya and Tony and her plan just failed? Not sure. We'll have to wait and see. As I do know, of course, what happened with this past week's episode of Dynamite. So we'll see when we get to that. But yes. Again, the match suffered a little bit because the fact that the crowd was upset that Mercedes didn't show up. But let's just move on. We'll see. Maybe she'll show up some other time. Again, yes, I do agree. They should not have, hyped it up like they did. They should have just came out and said it's going to be Saraya and Tony Storm versus Britt Baker and JB Hayter. They should not have done the hype they did. They teased us like crazy. Like, this is kind of like what would have happened if CM Punk didn't show up in Chicago on that episode of Rampage he was rumored to show up at. But it's over. We had something else come out of the fallout of this that is interesting. But I will save that for later on tonight in a later stream. So anyways, we had that. We had Team DMD get the victory. Afterwards, we get a promo where Eddie Kingston, we get a hype of the next week of shows, and we get a promo where Eddie Kingston and Ortiz bicker about the upcoming match. But it was supposed to be as a House of Black, but they said Kings of the Black Throne. So I know they've been back and forth by mentioning like Kings of the Black Throne or the House of Black. Don't know which one it is, but we'll see. We had a segment with the Jericho Appreciation Society and Ricky Starks. They're wearing these like shiny gold blazers, and they're like just how good they look in there. This and that, and they're talking about how they powerbombed the Ricky Starks through a table. Jericho says you can boo all you want, but it's true. They've had a huge week. They invaded PWG Battle of Los Angeles, and on Rampage, on Friday, Anna Jay and Ty Conti Ty Miller are going to kick Ruby Soho and Willow Nightingale's ass in a street fight, which I heard was bloody brilliant. Harry Potter reference there. Most important thing, though, is they think that they're done with Ricky Starks. Starks then comes out with action on Andretti. Ricky says he's looking at a bunch of idiots who couldn't get the job done last week. Jericho tells Andrade to go back to the minors, but then Andrade tells Chris to shut the hell up before he takes that baseball bat and shoves up his ass. Dan Garcia says, don't disrespect Y2J like that. And then Action Moxley having Sammy Guevara as his new babysitter. Sam can't even keep control of his own wife. How can he babysit Daniel Garcia? Who, again, I just soured on a lot, Daniel Garcia, ever since they had him turn on Bryan. But then again, he says Ty's hands were between his legs last week. And Garcia remembers being a young wrestler, but now he's a sports entertainer, and he's on top of the world. No, he's not. Stark says it's not about Count Sokola or Jazz Hole 1 or Jazz Hole 2. He wants Jericho to move aside for him. He's talking to the Gilligan with the stupid hat, and of course Hager's like, I love this hat! And I'm like, stop. But basically he challenges Jake Hager to a match next week. And of course, you know, that match is made official. And then we had the main event. It was the ladder match, the 7th match of the best of 7 series with Death Triangle and the Elite. Awesome match, of course, as always with these guys. I still, after all 7 matches, I would still say, I think it was the second match. The one wherever they basically, like, you know, made those CM Punk references and whatnot. That's still my favorite match of this entire series. But awesome series, of course. The Elite do win the match as Kenny Omega climbed the ladder and grabbed the titles after there's a bunch of crazy spots. And again, the Elite are 2-time AEW Trios Tag Team Champions. Can we move on now to the Elite and the House of Black? Well, the Elite, though, did hit a little bit of a roadblock this past week on Dynamite, because the Young Bucks had a match against an upcoming team that's very exciting for me, that I think at some point this year will be tag champs and will be the ones to dethrone the Acclaimed. But who will they be, though? We'll have to find out next time on AEW Dynamite Reviews. I'm saying that because, again, I know what happens, because, again, I still have to review that episode of Dynamite. But, yeah, that's the first one. We still got SmackDown from last week, Raw from this past week, and Dynamite from this past week. And, of course, I still have to watch SmackDown tonight at some point, see what happened there. But we're going to truck it tonight. Like I said, my biggest goal is to at least get my wrestling reviews caught up with tonight. Minus tonight's episode of SmackDown, but at least get all that caught up, and I'll feel a lot better. I mean, a lot better. But yeah, I'll give the LA show a B+. Probably would have been in the A's if Mercedes Moné would have shown up. But again, the crowd, the fallout from that match did hurt this show a little, but again, it was still a great show. Again, we had that. We had a great promo with MJF. We had a great match with Bryan Danielson and Konosuke Takeshita. Great main event with the Elite and Death Triangle. Hangman Page and Jon Moxley had a great match. Adam Cole's return. It was still an awesome LA show. And I was only 4 hours away from it. Damn it. But it's okay. Someday I'll get my time to shine in Hollywood. We'll see when that is. But until then, guys, as we continue to truck along here, what are your guys' thoughts on this past week's episode of, from the January 11th episode of AEW Dynamite in LA? Make sure to leave your thoughts down in the comment section below. I gave the show a B+. B+. What grade would you guys give it? Make sure you guys, as always, slap a like on the video. Subscribe for more content on my channel. Follow me on Twitter at the Club of the Man 93. Be sure, as always, to shout for Meatball Sub. And follow me on TikTok at the Club of the Man 93. I'm hoping to get some content posted there soon as well. But until then, guys, I'm checking out. I'll catch y'all later. Stay tuned. I'm going to keep on trucking tonight. Have a great rest of your evening. Catch you soon, guys. Peace out, everybody. Yeah, no, I will surprise. There's no escape.